So let's continue our discussion on the capital structure theory, which is how much debt level is optimal. Should a firm really use any level of debt? And it turns out the usage of debt and its benefit depends heavily on our tax code, the IRS tax policy. So one of the main theories that really explains how this comes about is going to be Modigliani and Miller theory, known as M&M theory in finance. And these two guys, as you read in your book, won the Nobel Prize in Economics for giving us the explanation here. So let's take their second case rather than the first case. Second case is tax rate is going to be 30%. And the first case is going to be assuming there are no taxes. So under the second case, we like to compare what will happen to the value of firm U, what will happen to the value of firm L. Firm U is known to be unlevered firm. Leverage in finance means debt. So why do we call this firm L? Because it has a leverage, it is using some debt. Otherwise, these two firms are really identical in every respect. They have the same level of money they're going to be making for the foreseeable future. That's what this perpetuity is. Cost of debt, return demanded by shareholders initially is going to be the same, but we will see eventually the market is going to realize this is really not a correct cost of equity, and we will see it is going to be rising to 12%. So let's first look at the realistic situation where firms' the corporate tax rate is going to be 30%. So what is going to be the valuation differential of the two firms? So value of firm L, we're going to call it V sub U. Should be equal to the value of this identical firm because they have the same earnings. And then we need to bring in the tax savings firm is going to be realizing by using this level of debt. What happens to these tax savings? For firm U, they are not really using any debt. They cannot deduct interest payments because they don't pay any interest. So this firm is going to be sending then a smaller tax bill to IRS. So money saved from taxes is going to be money kept by the firm, and that should be added to the firm value. So that's essentially where the tax savings are going to be coming from. So what are these present value of tax savings? Well, it turns out we can calculate these tax savings as tax rate times the level of debt. So this is going to be our debt level. Tax rate is 30%. Debt level is 4 million. So firm L is going to be worth 1.2 million more than firm U. What are going to be the annual tax savings? Well, that's going to be the interest payments. Times the tax rate. So we can write it as follows. KD is going to be our cost of debt times the level of debt times the tax rate. So if we do this calculation here, so that's going to be 4 million. And then we can do this multiplication, and then you can find out the answer here. That is going to be our annual tax savings. So how did we get this one here? Well, that is essentially going to be annual tax savings coming from here. And then we like to discount it back to time 0, so we divide by KD here. So you can see we end up getting the same as here. So where's the benefit of using debt coming from? It is really coming from the tax savings, because interest paid on debt is tax deductible. Now what will happen if the tax rate is going to be 0? Then this is going to be 0, because tax rate is 0, this becomes 0, there's no tax savings. Then the value of firm L should be exactly the same as the value of firm U under this first case of 0 taxes. So that's essentially what Modiglian and Miller really showed us through long mathematical equation. But the basic fact is, if tax rate is 0, these tax savings are going to be 0. This becomes 0. The two firms are going to have exactly the same valuation. All right, let me stop here, and we will do another part of this explanation on the next video. Thank you.